Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming into another video. All right, so I've talked a lot about the Lakers today. I'm sure you guys are like, this guy still has more Laker thoughts. Yes, and the reason why I do have more Laker thoughts is because I'm trying to more or less come to the understanding of what to do with D'Angelo Russell. The argument that is most clear to me right now that I haven't really verbalized in my head is once you re-sign him, he can then be retraded if for some reason you're unhappy. He is a retradable piece. At his age, 27, 28, something like that, his shooting ability, he has value so long as we don't overpay him. The problem I have is I'm not sure if we find that we cannot trade him, we won't regret that. And can I not do good things with the cap space in his stead, which would then put me in a position to not necessarily miss him? That's the question, and I don't have the answer to that based on just the market and who's out there for us to be possibly able to pick up, what they would be willing to take in terms of a pay cut if they're a bigger name, which is a big deal. Who's available out there to want to come to the Lakers, and is it a good idea to try to bring in another star at a discount? If they want to be a part of this thing, because at the end of the day, I know that there are a couple players around the league that are looking to move. Some of them are probably on their way out of the league. And if they want to win and get good opportunities to be seen, which will open up opportunities for them in other business areas, they probably wouldn't mind playing with Bron in year 21. They wouldn't mind going out with him together. And I'm thinking about a guy like James Harden, and I'm thinking about a guy like Draymond Green, players that we don't necessarily want to pick up, but I can see them trying to force their way here if for some reason they have to leave their situation. Now, James Harden has been said to want to go back to Houston. That seems to be a lock. I have never heard anything as of late that would otherwise send him away from either Philadelphia or Houston. But things change in real time, real fast. That's what I want people to understand. And D'Lo is looking terrible right now. Okay? That's the reality of it. And some people want to play for the Lakers. They didn't think that playing for the Lakers was realistic, which is why they probably don't have the Lakers on their list. But if they think that $20 million may be available, if they're free, they may be wanting to come here. Based on the fact that we did get to the Western Conference Finals, we do have young talent that needs some front court help and stuff like that. We do have a need for shooting. Some of them dudes did not play well, and this is still a championship team if they come in and replace them. Now, I'm telling you that yesterday morning or before this series started, they probably weren't thinking that way. But I'm telling you that they should be now, because that $20 million should, in theory, be available to somebody who's free who wants to play for the Lakers. Because D'Lo ain't getting that money unless the Lakers are certain they can retrade him. Because I'm telling you, you cannot justify signing him now. Not after seeing in the Western Conference Finals that he's literally unplayable when he was unplayable on another team in a different playoff situation. No, we are a playoff team. We're a championship team. We're looking to get the trophy. We cannot be investing multiple years of big money in players that can't play in the big moments. We're the Lakers. It doesn't work. What I'm telling you is, I don't know if people have come to that conclusion or not. I'm just ahead of the game, and I'm telling you as I assess it, that's exactly what it comes down to. Hell no, I ain't resigning D'Lo unless I'm certain I can trade him. And the way he's been playing, coupled with the concerns of his calluses, coupled with history in the past, unfortunately, it's always going to follow him. It is what it is, man. No. That's where we're at. And it's so unfortunate because I like D'Lo. Y'all know I like D'Lo. But, the gears start grinding. I start thinking about how to win. I start thinking who else I can pay, possibly. Who may be thinking, you know what, I want. Nah. And let me tell you something. I'm not the biggest James Harden fan. But we need a facilitator, bro, to get the ball to LeBron and take pressure off LeBron. I don't know if James Harden's a good idea, y'all. I know he's not. But I'm just thinking like Draymond, James Harden, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. If them dudes take a pay cut, come together, we could have a ridiculously interesting narrative. Okay, I'm not even going to talk about it. It's narrative, and that's what the Lakers tend to like. I don't know if them dudes want to take a pay cut. I don't even know if they're leaving their current situations or what it is that they have their minds on. But what I'm telling you is, if I'm Golden State, Draymond's out. Even though we need front court help, I can get it cheaper. I can get it without punching out the other guy. And we can move on from a lot of that stuff, shave it down to just Clay and Steph, have a whole lot of cap space, and reimagine their entire team. And that probably makes a lot of sense. Of course, you got to keep Wiggins. But that's a whole nother story. We on our side of the fence, and I'm telling you, if that shakes up over there, boom, player comes here. Because Draymond ain't going to have nowhere else to go. I'm just telling you right now. I don't think anybody else going to want him. New media, doesn't shoot, punches players out. Like, he only going to have like one or two places want to go. He could probably go to Miami. I could see him joining Pat Riley. He'd love to have him down there, I think. Joining Bam, that's crazy. That's a good fit in some ways. But do they have the money to pay him? Probably not. Us, he going to come here for Bron. He going to come here for Bron. Like, that's how that goes. He's just going to come, and they're going to be drinking Lobos and toasting it up. And that's how it's going to be. And he's going to help Bron defensively, offensive rebounds, facilitation. He also can get Bron the ball. It's almost inevitable. I'm almost certain. If he doesn't move on from the Golden State Warriors, he's moving here. And the Golden State Warriors got some seriously difficult decisions to make. And I don't know if it's wise to let go of him. I don't know that based on what I just seen. But I'm telling you, they probably going to think that anyway, especially if negotiations don't go right here in the offseason with them. So I'm just preparing people for something I'm seeing. It could shake up a lot of different ways. But given the fact that LeBron James is in year 21 and he can opt out at the end of this year coming up, it's the last stand. And I don't think anybody's trading LeBron James at all. So he's going to be here next season if what I think is in my head is correct. And if that's the case, the team going to be looking to get a championship, and we're going to want certain pieces. You know what signaled that to me? Signing of Tristan Thompson. Why is Tristan here? Because he's a Bron friend. That's it. He didn't get no minutes in playoffs anyway. He didn't use it. He here because he's Bron friend. And so if that line of thinking is still what he owned, which it looked like he is, and Draymond's probably on his way to purple and gold if Golden State decides they're going to move on. And from what I'm seeing, Golden State might actually be moving on from their GM. So stuff is going to really shake up there if Myers is out. So that's just a little tea leaf that I heard. So I was like, what? I don't know if that's true or not, but it's in my head. So things are happening in Golden State that could affect the Los Angeles Lakers, could affect the entire market. And with LeBron James on our team, unless he's on his way out, I can see more of his people coming in. Because this is how he is. He's going to want to play with another old man. Which is how I go, man. And I don't know what the future holds for Anthony Davis. I don't really have a feel for what we're thinking. It's too soon. And to be honest with you, there's still more basketball to play, which doesn't necessarily tell you that we can win the series, but it does tell you that there's could be more to assess. If there's 2 more games and somebody who's playing bad starts playing well, then you can look at things from a different perspective. So I think I got ahead of myself as it pertains to certain things when I did my year-end conversation before the end of the season. But the way I was looking at it is, we're done. This team ain't probably want to go back to Denver. I think it's like a 20% chance that they actually play hard in Game 4, hard enough to win, that is, against that team who we can't defend. It's clearly better than us and 1 game away from a championship. I don't see no reason why they don't come in here and blow us out and end this thing, like literally. With the way that our team came out of these last couple of days, coupled with the fact that we don't have any rest in between these games, don't you want them to fly up to Denver with 1 day's rest just to get their butt whooped? They're not going to want to do that, man. So we're out of here. But just in case somebody plays well, what if D'Lo has a 50-point game some magical way? Then we're assessing him differently based on how he cleared out Game 4 and won the game for us. Because if he does that, we're winning. So it's one of the situations where it's like, that truly can affect things. It truly can. Unfortunately, you know what else is possible? Injuries. Game 4, something goes wrong, knockety knock. Now we're assessing things differently. So it's like, the Lakers got some things to think about. They got some things to think about. In Game 4, if that score just starts running up to 20 in the first half, sit them starters. Why? Because them dudes need surgery anyway. Hell, I'm not a quitter, so we got to play Game 4. But I don't really want us to play more basketball for the sake of those injuries getting worse, or the sake of new injuries popping up. If we're truly done, which, again, Denver, proven better. It's not even worth talking about anymore. So they should beat us. And maybe I just continue load managing. Schedule loss, just like we've been doing all season. Why not? Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to go back up to Denver. We're not going to win the series, and there's a chance one of these old men can get hurt again. Can you imagine? AD goes down, knock on wood. Come on, man. I don't even know if it makes sense to suit up. And that's sad, because that's not how I get down as a Laker. But this ain't about that. This is a bigger picture thing. I don't want no off-season injuries. We got them. These guys got to have surgery. They have to have surgery any damn way. So it's like, I learned from Grant Hill long ago. It wasn't no way in hell he was beating Alonzo Mourning in the Heat. It wasn't happening. I think they were playing the Heat. It's been many moons, but whoever the hell he was playing, it was evident that he needed surgery on his ankle in game 1. He played all 4 of those games, got swept, made his injury so much worse to the point where he had complications that weren't even reasonable that he ended up dealing with in regards to that ankle. It was worst case scenario to the max for him. And it's just one of those situations where you learn from that. That happens when you're a little kid. You don't forget that. It's like, okay, yeah, Grant Hill, I had his jersey, so I remember all of that. Do not at all think for a second that it's harmless playing through injuries in games that are meaningless. And so there's nothing meaningless about a Western Conference final basketball game. But I'm telling you, if it gets out of hand early, pull the plug. It's an organizational decision, no different than all the organizational decisions that led up to this moment. Because at the end of the day, we are who we are. And if we wanted to win, we wouldn't have put small ball on the floor in the first place. Period. So that's where I'm at with it. We're as good as we are. Let's get out of this season healthy with all of our pieces 100% intact. That's what we got to be, man. I hate thinking like that. And then we're in a league where this is fine. You know what I mean? This is how you strategize in this league. You lose on purpose. You cut your losses. You load manage until you realize it didn't actually provide you what you needed. But nevertheless, this is what we're doing here. You know, with asset quality over titles, which is what it seems like when you don't play Rui Hachimura, but nothing but like 20 minutes when he's destroying all opponents in front of him. Can we just highlight that for a second? That Rui Hachimura was basically cooking all defenses. The ones we beat and the ones we didn't. He cooked them all. He didn't have no problems with the Nuggets. The Lakers had problems with the Nuggets. Rui Hachimura, if you look at his stats from night to night to night, he was killing the Nuggets all series long. So I want people to just go ahead and just look at Rui Hachimura's stats for the Western Conference Finals and tell me he shouldn't have been getting the ball a lot more. Just like a whole lot more. Now look at his stats from the Golden State series. You're going to see the same thing. Now look at his stats from the Grizzlies series. You're going to see the same thing. He killed them all, y'all. Every night. And we kept his minutes low. Each and every time. Didn't start him. Not at all. Not one time did we start Rui Hachimura. And he was literally the most efficient offensive player we had. And if you look at the stats close, he was also one of the most efficient defensive players we had. Yep, that too. So, we did that on purpose. And it better lead to us keeping the player. That is literally all I have to say about that. So, there was a lot of players who were the opposite of that. You know what I'm saying? And that has to be acknowledged. I know D'Lo is a quick signing, and we got on this camera talking about D'Lo. You just want to sign him just because he is who he is. You drafted him. We like the player's talent shooting the ball. There's no question about his high-arcing shooting. And to a degree, when he's sharp, his passing ability in tight windows, as we always talk about, can be next level. But his psyche, I'm not sure where he's at. You know, he didn't respond well to the pressure. He looked lost. And even if you are out of position or have been struggling, when you're a player with the ability he has, you want him to show a bit more poise. One of the things that I credited him with was not having a bad plus minus even on bad shooting nights throughout the regular season. He started having horrible plus minuses throughout this course of these playoffs, and I can't really make up in my mind why that was the case. And so as I look at him and I assess what I want from him going forward, more than anything, I just want to replace him with somebody who can give me some athleticism. First of all, who can keep up with these people going left to right. Somebody who's going to be aggressive, shooting the ball, who has the ability to shoot the ball. And then somebody who can help me on the defensive end a bit more than he was able to. Even though he contributed with his length to defensive stats, from play to play to play, he's getting cooked left and right. So I don't need to give that guy $20 million. I need to find somebody who's going to be a bit more effective and somebody who's going to complement the core a bit more or be able to step up forward if the core is not available. So D'Lo is, I don't know, the jury's out on a couple of those things, so we didn't see that. But when you couple how much time he's missed since we traded for him, and then how bad he played throughout some of those games, it's like we didn't have a whole lot of good D'Lo. Even in the regular season, it wasn't a whole lot. So trying to hurry up and keep him and worried about ostracizing him is just misguided bullcrap. You know, we talk about the evaluation of talent. Yeah, he needs to be updated. The evaluation of D'Angelo Russell needs to be updated based on what we've just seen in these playoffs and ultimately what we saw in last year's playoffs as well, being benched. He's a player that needs to be in certain circumstances and he doesn't need to be taking up too much of your cap. He's been paid and he's probably worth what he's been paid, but at this point, he just, you know, it is where we are and you just got to be honest about that. He should have been benched. He should have been benched. We know he should have been benched. And that is just where that ends, man. It's unfortunate that he wasn't 100%. You know, it was unfortunate that we couldn't get him on the floor more. But I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say other than I do not want to invest in that player if he's going to cost me all the money in the world. And I can't put him in a position to kind of do more of what it is that he does best and, you know, try to hide everything that he doesn't do well. It's just not. It's too many headaches, man. I don't need that. Give me a real point guard, bro. Go get me a point guard, preferably one who's about 6'6", 6'7", tall one. You know, that's what you need. Go get you a tall point guard who can shoot the ball, who can defend some. He doesn't have to be a perfect player, but he does have to complement AD and Bron a lot better than D'Lo and Schroeder do. That's most important. Because Schroeder complimented him to a degree, but more so in scoring ways, not in playmaking ways. And those playmaking needs are glaring to me. LeBron James is much better when he's a recipient of passes. And although Austin Reeves can do some of that, we also want Austin scoring because he's one of our most efficient shooters. So he don't need to be playmaking too much. Plus, he needs to work on a few things in the offseason to make him a better ball handler. And just overall, his conditioning is going to continue to improve because he's been doing a great job on that. And so we just need him to have a fantastically active off season. There ain't no reason to be doing too much rest. He only like 24, 25 years old. You don't need to be doing too much rest. Get out there and go hard in the off season and work on your body, as I know you will. And come back strong, come back healthy, come back ready to move hard and fast to the left and to the right, because that's where I think he can get better. Upper body strength as well. Continue to work on yourself. All of that stuff I think Austin has down packed. And that's another reason why I don't have any problem investing in him, because he has the right work ethic. He appears to be very durable while having the right balance of control as to not overthrow his body around to get hurt. He draws fouls better than anyone else. I mean, like literally anyone. The way that he was fouled yesterday, he looked like his neck was going to break. I was screaming at my phone like, you're going to let my guy get his neck broke just to see the slowdown? He did what he had to do. So it's like, that is a very key thing. You want to definitely respect Austin Reeves' ability to draw fouls. Flop, essentially what it is. It's a very, very good trait for him. He's extremely cunning, extremely smart. And so what he's going to always do is find a way to manipulate them damn referees. And so he's going to have to be smart enough to pick and choose when to do so. And if he does that, he'll be extremely efficient closing out defensive possessions, as we've said many times on this channel. So that's something I wanted to just say. I think that Austin Reeves can fit as a 3 in a lot of lineups, especially if the 2 is a bit bigger than ours was this year. Because a lot of times we had Lonnie Walker playing the 2. Oftentimes he would be asked to play the 2 himself, which is good for him. But once you have him at the 3, you need that next player to be pretty solid in size and stature. Next segue thought away from Reeves. We got to get some size, man. Again, Derek Lively, I'm not a huge fan of picking him at 17. There's too many more dynamic type of players at that range for me than to want to take Lively there. I probably trade down to a reasonable space. I don't know what it would be, but trading down seems like something a little more realistic for Lively. Probably get him in the early 20s, maybe 19, something like that. There are some guys that you can get that are going to give you rim protection, but I don't know if they provide the girth, size, heaviness that we're going to need to kind of face some of them dudes that are coming. This is when you wish you had a Zubac or something like that to just throw at Jokic, someone who's comparable in heaviness, to just, give yourself a chance. Because I like our forwards. I like our centers. In theory, none of them are centers except for Bamba, but they too light in the back pocket, man. They too light in the back pocket. You want somebody like Jonas Valanciunas or somebody like that, massive dude. You know what I mean? Somebody with that type of body. I don't know who's out there. My mind is going blank. Some of the names I'm thinking about probably aren't even in the league right now. I think like Derek Favors and stuff like that. But guys that big, man, who can really throw 150 pounds to 170 pounds. Of Jokic, who's 180 pounds. 280 pounds. You're not going to find nobody that heavy. And if you do, they're probably not going to be good enough to play against Jokic. But you do need a guy that's like 250, 7-footer, something like that, who can really ball, man. Because if you don't get somebody heavier than 205, 210, we got the same problem next year. And I'm telling you, I don't know why Jokic wouldn't be here next year again if they get enough depth on that Denver team and keep these pieces together. There ain't no reason at all. If we're not good health, if they're gonna be slowing down, they're gonna do this again. This is the beginning of something with Denver, by the way. I think it is. But nevertheless, let me get back to what I was talking about. The Los Angeles Lakers, we love our players. We need to get some size down there so that they have a chance to rebound and bang with these dudes. And in year 21, I don't want to see LeBron James play a single solitary second at center. Not a single solitary second. I don't. No. I hated seeing him play center last year. It led to him having an injury. I hated seeing him play center this year. Even though I know it helps him because it can allow him to do different things, maybe spread the floor if the three is falling, which we know it is not. But nevertheless, it is what it is, man. He feels like the center position gives him a lot of freedom in some cases and allows him to slow it down too. But for me, it's like you're not big enough. LeBron is a big guy, but he's not big enough to go against real centers, man. He's just not. And Anthony Davis, to a point, ain't either. As we clearly seen, Anthony Davis is a 4. He didn't tell us he's a 4 for 5 straight years. Rob, I need you to do me a favor, bro. I need you to make it so that the roster next year can have some sequences for Anthony Davis to play the 4 spot. I just need to see if we can get him to play well at the 4 spot. I know that the numbers tell us he's not better at the 4 spot, that he is, in fact, better at the 5 spot. But I still want us to construct some way to allow him, Anthony Davis, to play some damn 4, fam. Put the guy next to him. Let that person be taller than him with just as much length. Somebody ain't afraid to put on the floor, someone healthy enough to do it. Unlike Bamba, for whatever reason, couldn't get him on the floor. Let that person help Anthony Davis play 4 sometimes. Because the reason why he's never good at the 4 with us is because of how we have our team constructed when we do put him at the floor. You can always construct something to work. We just got to make it do so. And so I want us to try to sneak away to get the pieces necessary so that AD can have reasonable sequences at the 4. I don't have him looking like he's too big to play the position or whatever the case we had it. Not enough shooting on the floor, whatever. So that's something I want to say. I just want to see him do what it is that he wanted to do when he first signed with this place. And we ain't been able to get him a decent center yet. And part of that problem is because LeBron James always playing a damn 4. That's a big problem too. I don't know that I need both of my stars to be forwards, fam. One of them be a center, one of them be a forward. I got a big team surrounding myself with a couple good guards. Or one of them be a forward, another be a superstar guard. Then we can come together and do it like that. But both of them being forwards, especially when one of them's AD and he ain't a real center, is a nightmare. I don't know how to win the championship we did. You know what I mean? I don't know how we won the championship we did when you consider how hard it is to put players around these dudes. Especially when you consider that it's hard to ever get them on the floor at the same time. So it's like, yo, I got to commend the Lakers and Rob Pelinka because this is not the easiest thing to do in regards to building around these two pieces. And you wanted to put them together all throughout the early 2010s, but when you actually got them together, you realize how hard it is to build around. And so that's really the reality is. I think he did a good job, Rob Pelinka, in putting this team together through the years he's had it. You know, he's done a good job putting the pieces around this team for the most part because it's hard to do. Especially when you don't have assets and you're mismanaging certain things with the contracts and all different type of stuff that we had when we did that trade. So, man, there is some applause to be had, but there's still more work to be done. And so, salute the Kobe minute, of course, as we always want to do. This team, all in all, just needs a few things. And it needs to be able to rely upon it, LeBron James and Anthony Davis to stay healthy for a full season. And that, my friends, is the monkey wrench. Bring them all they want, and they still be out for 50 games, 40 games, or what have you. I just don't know what to do as a Laker fan. If I were in control of the organization, I don't know what I'd do. It's probably safer to keep them and just roll your dice. So that's probably the way to go. But I'm telling you, that's a big, big, big risk. It's a big risk when you consider what could be catastrophic in regards to the value of those players dissipating overnight. If for some reason there's an season-ending, career-ending injury, and I worry about that. And that's for everybody, but especially for a dude in year 21. It's like, I don't want him to say, well, that's a career, and then we can't trade him for nothing. All of a sudden, we have none of that stuff. It's like, whoa, what the hell? We could have traded dude for like 8 picks, and now we can't. You know what I'm saying? He has to retire because of the foot. Like, what the hell? It's just certain environments that you allow to take place when you take certain risks, and this is one of them. With Anthony Davis and him both on the same team, it's like, yo, I ain't as worried about Anthony Davis' health as I've been expressing to you guys over the last 24 hours. I'm not as. I think he's on the right track to being more durable, not less. But is his mind going to be set on doing the same things to stay healthy? Are we going to have any setbacks? Just simply me being wrong? These questions can be applied again to other players. It's not just him. But because we've been in this space, it makes you wonder. It just makes you wonder if it's best to at some point capitalize on the value before it does take a turn down the other direction. Whatever the case may be for any player. What's the peak? And does it make sense to get off the train before it goes like this? And so that's kind of where I'm at with it. I worry about Anthony Davis when he's not in shape. When he is in shape, I cannot wait to see him play. But then I expect him to play right every other day and not play in back-to-backs. You see what I'm saying? It's like all these different asterisks. It's like, all right, bro. But Jokic don't have no asterisks, right? He going to play every night. Giannis going to play every night. For real, right? And so this kind of becomes that kind of thing when you're weighing that type of superstar. It ain't about this, oh, yeah. Nah, you got to be able to be comparable to the other guys if I'm paying you this amount. You're gonna be $250, $300 million when things expire, when things inflate. I want to make sure that I'm getting my bang for my buck if I'm the owner. So with Anthony Davis, I felt like for the most part I got that in the playoffs this year, where he really dominated the first 2 series. Defensively, he was excellent, ending the season, keeping my team alive. He helped a lot. Couldn't function properly without him. All that stuff matters. But as I said, I can build a certain way to where I don't need, you know what I mean? Just move a couple pieces around and I don't need what it is he brings to the table as much, to which I'm leaning on him so much or whatever. So it's like, there are a lot of ways to change that to where that's not the case. And we need to be thinking that way if it makes sense to do so. So these are things I'm thinking about, man. As I brought to the table James Harden and Draymond Green, I don't know that it's real likely that they're coming or that you should even want that. I don't think I want that, to be honest, but it's just like, you can see how things are shaking up, and you know people are going to be looking at us. They just are. They ain't going to go to Denver necessarily. Maybe they go to Denver, you know what I mean? Because Denver can win a championship. You know, it's one of those situations where maybe that does shake it up to where you can see a lot of opportunities for a role player to go to Denver, you know, just because. And then maybe some people want to flood to San Antonio. You know, there's a lot of stuff that can shake up real quick. Those same dudes could go to those places, but I really think the Lakers are also going to be a desirable place for a lot of guys, especially some of the guys that are older, who may have always wanted to play here anyway. You know, a guy like James Harden, literally from LA, he never played for an LA team. This might be his best shot. Houston got a bunch of young guys. Maybe they turn him away after all, which I think is probably the smartest idea for them, which is why I would have LA being like a secondary pair of destinations, because I ain't just saying the LA Lakers, Clippers too. So this is the reality of what it is I see there. I just think that James Harden has a chance to come home. And even though he wants to go to Houston, to go back to where he used to, you know, ball out and play with a bunch of youngsters that are really talented, as I said, Tillman Fertitta, if he's wise, ain't gonna break that up. He ain't gonna actually break that up. They may be flirting with the idea of bringing Houston James Harden, but if they're really serious about building something very special, you don't make any moves with this roster that the Houston Rockets have. You don't do that. You draft Amen Thompson and you move forward with everybody you're going to pay. And the only people you're going to move are the people you're absolutely certain you're not going to pay. A guy like Kevin Porter Jr., I don't think they're going to pay him. So he's probably going to be this year's. Oh. He's probably going to be this year's version of DeJounte Murray, leaving a place you don't expect him to leave. Yeah. And we need a point guard. I want that kid. Give me him. That's who the hell we need. That's who the hell we need. Go get him from Houston. Go get him. Rob, go get Kevin Porter Jr. Bro. Kid from Seattle. He's ambidextrous. He's going to be a superstar. Plays both sides of the floor. Doesn't make the greatest decisions yet. Almost like D'Angelo Russell, but he's younger and he's better. A lot better. More forceful. More athletic. Ridiculously talented. Probably going to need a new home. And we need a point guard. And he's young. He's the future. Like the actual future. Hell yeah, that shit hit me like a ton of bricks. Excuse my language, but like this is a real reaction. I'm like, yo, we need to go get that kid. That's who we need to try to get from Houston. I don't know how the heck you acquire him, but he would definitely want our bag at $20 million. And I'm telling you, I'm taking him over a lot of people because I know what he's going to be. And I know he can help us right now. And I know he would love to be in LA. He ain't going to be afraid of the bright nights. Not at all. That kid is. You're talking about getting Kyrie at 30, you get him at 20 if you can, even though he's a lot better than that, a whole lot better than that. But like, this is the type of thing that you think about when you talk about evaluating talent. You want to study him first, make sure I know what I'm talking about. You don't just jump into something like that. You do the homework. But I've seen enough from him to know if he's not hurt, because he has his injury issues and immaturity issues, you still do your homework on the kid. But that's the type of tomorrow piece that you bring now to you with the last year on Bron. And when Bron get the hell out of here, he turned into a superstar or a star or somebody very close to that who can go absolutely nuts, give you 40 points or whatever, 15 assists, 3 steals, whatever the hell he's going to do. And you got somebody to go forward with who on the next go round you could probably see yourself paying big money to. And will help usher you into the future. While we're trying to get Trae Young, people like that, this guy's going to be a little more inexpensive and probably has upside and get him that far in about 3 or 4 years. So this is how I think, man. I'm not thinking about, give me Bradley Beal, give me James. Hell, I don't want them dudes. Give me Kevin Porter. Find me another Rui Hachimura. Find me, you know what I'm saying? That's how we got to do this. That's how we got here. So, far be it for me to be the guy that knows what he's talking about. For all I know, there's no way in hell we can get Kevin Porter Jr. But what I'm telling you is I see a vacancy with the point guard spot, and then I see like a 23-year-old who's got more talent than most people will ever know at this moment. So you bring him here and just live with his mistakes. That's what you do. You bring him here, you live with his mistakes. Maybe you put somebody in front of him. But I'm telling you, him, Scottie Pippen Jr., Max Christie, see, my gear's already going. Rui Hachimura, I'm telling you, man, if Houston wants to get rid of that kid, you bring him here before his value inflates to where it's going to be 2 years from now. I know what I'm talking about. So these are the type of things we need to do, man. D-Lo, I thank you, bro, but I know what I need, man. I'm not confused. I would love to have you on my team, but not nearly at the price you're going to be. No way. If I'm bringing you here, I'm trading you right away. If you sign this, sign the trade, bro. If not, I'm trading you probably within the year. Especially if I see more of what I saw there. I ain't going to want to re-sign you. So that's kind of how that goes for me. It's like, nah, I want to sign D-Lo. Make sure you get his money and then trade D-Lo to somebody who really wants him. And if that is not possible, then I want to let D-Lo get his step on, put his shoes on, get his step in, because what we saw in this Western Conference Finals, I can do better. And it didn't take long for me to come up with an idea. So match the salaries, make it make sense. We got 17 to trade if we want to trade something, although that might not be the right move. But just in general, if you have to make a move like this is probably what people are going to ask for. You got that to trade. You got Beasley contract to trade to make salaries work. And you got some role players on this team that we do like, but we probably can afford to get rid of for the sake of bringing us what we need, depending on if we can replace who they are. A lot more complicated stuff than I'm thinking about. But these are the type of things I want our guys to be thinking about in the front office. And Rob and Lincoln to be thinking about as we try to assess what we want to do next year. Also, this is the reality of role players that we want to keep. They need stars. So if we keep our role players and don't have stars, or for some reason we let their stars go, but we bring Austin to us and think he's going to be able to play like he did this year, what's going to end up happening is he's going to get all the defense that Bron would have gotten, all the defense that AD would have gotten, and you don't get the same dynamic. He's going to need those pieces to still keep him in his role so that he can continue doing what he does. So that's what the Lakers need to understand. You may see Austin Reeves as your future and may even think that he could turn into a superstar. But if you put him in that situation and pay him like that right now and remove those stars, the defense is on him and he's going to get clobbered. It ain't going to be pretty. We're going to win a lot. So that's what I want to say. I know our team knows that. Our front office knows that. The players know that. But I think that it's important that the casual fan knows that, so that when they say, let Bron go and bring in Austin Reeves, if the Lakers would actually do something like that, you would understand why that's not the move. Not to mention that the salaries would never, I mean, it's not going to happen. But what I'm saying is there are people out there who are going to want to do that, and they're going to see the logic in that because they saw something on the floor that they didn't like versus Austin Reeves, who played really well. And so they just say, okay, that's a star. We got our star. We don't need him. Get him out of here. And it's like, that's not that simple. And most importantly, that is going to have the reverse effect on the player that you really love, that you want to keep. They're gonna get clobbered by real defenses. Not that this league plays too much defense. They really don't. But nevertheless, you get the point. All eyes on him, all pressure on him. And I think he can handle the pressure, but the physical stuff that's coming into the defense, you don't want to put him in those situations. Not this soon, probably not ever, honestly. I don't think he's that dude. So that's what it is. We got to keep a star here, man. We got to keep stars here. You know, and I understand that. Now, what constitutes a star? That's the question. Do you feel like you can catch a guy at $50 million, like a $60 million contract like Dame, and that gets you where you want to go? In my mind, hell no. But you guys already know that. I don't believe in that thing. I just said that. Bradley Beal, that. Hell no. You want to find a guy that's going to be that tomorrow. But the problem is, if you get him that, if you do that today, it could be a problem. Like, for example, if I think Paolo Banchero is a star, and I bring him here, try to trade something ridiculously like LeBron James, you know what I mean? Not that can be done, but just for example, I acquire a young player, want him to replace LeBron James in a different way. Bron goes out, different trade, bring him in, he's my star. Okay, maybe I traded Bron for picks. That makes sense, right? Okay, and I got him back in the trade, so now he's my star. He ain't gonna be able to do all that stuff just because I replaced Bron with him. You see what I'm saying? He ain't gonna be able to do all that stuff that Bron did, but I may see him turning into some light years away great player that's not Bron, but himself, you know what I mean? Paolo style. Who he's going to be 6 years from now should be dominating the league. But to ask him to replace LeBron James today, because I know that he's going to be a star tomorrow, it's going to have that same effect that it had on Austin, who I may not see as a star tomorrow, but am still, you know what I mean, trying to look for a star for him. He going to have all that defense coming to his young behind, and he going to get beat up. Evan Mobley, for example. You trade Bron for Evan Mobley or some stupid stuff, you know, whatever. Evan ain't going to have that effect that he had in Cleveland when he was dominating. No, he has to have players around him that are going to help him. Now, with that being said, put him next to Anthony Davis and you got my dream. That's my dream. I want that on my team for the next 10 years. But nevertheless, I don't think that's possible unless we trade Bron to Cleveland. And if Cleveland's taking Bron back and they get rid of Evan Mobley, I will laugh at them for a long time because they should definitely not do that. So they're likely going to want to move us, Donovan Mitchell or something like that, if that were to be the case. And to be honest with you, if I'm Cleveland, I'm probably cool based on what I just seen on Bron. So it's a whole nother story, not even important. The point is, you want to know for a fact that if Bron is going out or if you're looking to move on from AD, that the star that you're bringing back can carry the load if you still want to contend. If you still want to contend. And so that's really what it comes down to. If you don't want to contend, bringing in the young players shouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but you got to expect for disappointment. Maybe they're players that are about to have their first injury and now tumble forward with injury issues. You don't know. So it's the risk when you bring in young guys that aren't developed yet. You know what I mean? You just have to roll the dice and hope for the best. Even if they're as great as Anthony Edwards, you just really don't know what they're going to end up being in the long run. I remember a guy like Jamal Mashburn, who was like, they thought he was going to be the next Michael Jordan when he first came to the league and was balling like that early on. But after a while, injuries caught up and he just became a really good scorer. Like really good, you know, but if you invested $100 million in him at the time, you look crazy, in which the Miami Heat actually did. If I'm not mistaken, that's exactly what happened. And it just wasn't, it never was going to work out like that. So it's like, just because a guy looks like he's going to be something, Brandon Roy, it could go wrong, man. It just can. So you got to be very careful not to give up on big, huge, super proven guys and then bringing in young guys like I've always wanted to do on this channel, talked about a lot. It holds some serious, serious risk. If them dudes don't develop, you are not with a star. You don't have one. And if you overpay them, now you really screwed. So that's the type of stuff that we think about as well when we consider what the team is going to do going forward. But I do think that LeBron James will be back for one more season. I think he completes his contract. I think Jeannie and Bron probably have already agreed, no matter what this looked like, that they were going to probably just finish it, you know what I mean, complete it properly, and send him out in glorious ways. Because at the end of the day, he has delivered a championship. So I don't think trading him is probably going to be something we respectfully would see as reasonable. So for me as a basketball fan, as a cutthroat, cold basketball fan, I'm still not actually sure that I trade LeBron James. To be honest with you, I'm still not sure. Because I just don't know what I get back for him. How that makes me look as a franchise. What type of enemies I'm going to create in doing so. It's possible, depending on what he wants. And so it's just like, I'm going to make sure that I cover my backside as a franchise, given the fact that the world's watching me at all times, and this is going down the history books. So me trading LeBron James is going to look a certain way, especially if the trade I make is no good. So that's why you don't do it. And that's why I think it's a good chance he's back next year, unless he just simply wants the hell out of here. And given the fact that we went to the Western Conference Finals and a lot of what went wrong was him not playing well, why the hell would he want that? He ain't. There's a 0% chance he wants that, especially since this kid is going to USC and not jumping into the league. So no, the kid's going to be here. He's going to be here. And that is the end of that. Now that we've covered that, is it going to be a Draymond thing? Is it going to be a James Harden thing? Does he turn around and just retire? You know what I mean? Which I don't see that. But if the foot doesn't heal properly or something like that, these are variables, man. These are variables. He's definitely going to have to go under the knife. Ain't no way around that. He's going to have to go under the knife, and so is Anthony. So that means both of them dudes may not start the season. Can you even trade them under those circumstances if you wanted to? These are things you have to consider if you're the Lakers. Probably not, honestly. Ain't nobody going to want to trade for Anthony Davis hurt. Hell nah. So you're stuck with both of those guys going in the next season if what I'm seeing is starting to manifest in real time in my head. You're probably stuck with both of them dudes. So these are things that Laker fans just need to think about, which makes us a contender, obviously. But we need to put the right pieces around them. So is that going to be a big name and to get all this depth out of here and just bring us another third star so that we can kind of mimic what it is that we're seeing with the Denver Nuggets, and they have no bench, they just hide them? But if you do that with injury-prone players, obviously the risk is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense to deplete depth when we know what we know. So re-signing everybody is a risk because some of these dudes, to be honest with you, don't really think you probably should re-sign, man. D'Angelo Russell is a big risk. Malik Beasley, you know what I'm saying? What are we doing there? You're going to really let him take another $12 million of our cap and not use him? I think that is absolutely not going to happen. So, it's a lot of stuff to just consider in regards to this situation. Vanderbilt, do you keep him? Do you see him as a piece that you thought he was, or because coach couldn't use him properly, do you see him the same way as you see D'Lo and maybe want to get rid of him? We talked about that earlier. So, LA Lakers, we still got some games to play. Maybe that'll make a difference. Vando has a 7-steal game tomorrow. Who knows? These type of things really will determine a lot in the offseason. Game 4 it's important. It is a very important thing for all these guys that are trying to get paid, all these dudes that are trying to be on the team. Mailing it in tomorrow is not smart for you guys. Bron and AD may be able to mail it in, but a guy like Austin Reeves, Riyad Tamor, Schroeder, all them dudes should probably want to play well and should want to extend this series to be showcased more on this platform. So that's something to think about. If I'm Dennis Schroeder, I'm trying to psych AD and Bron into helping me win another game and getting this thing back to Denver so I can just, have more data on my name so I can get a good contract. So these are things that you never know. You never know what the Lakers will want to do as a franchise in a moment like this. I don't know. But I expect for them to go out there and suit up. But if it gets out of hand, as we said earlier, they're down by 20 in the first half or something like that, I don't think we're going to see the starters for much longer after that. I don't think so. Not if we know what we're doing. So, yeah, man, that's another 40 minutes. I told y'all I was going to be willing to talk about this team today because there's so much in my head now that we're basically at the end of the season. And we get a whole chance to evaluate what we've seen with the exception of whatever's left, which ain't going to be much, I don't believe. And with that, we can just kind of, go off into all different types of desires about what we want for our team in the off season, which is one of my favorite things to do. So yeah, expect the content to be coming your way, because that is exactly what it is. I might do this again today. That's how I'm feeling right now. So that's what it is, man. I appreciate everybody for watching video 44, and I'm gonna go clean my phone.